Welcome to the Walk-Thru with 5-Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by Triple F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithy and the 5-Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithy as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on the Walk-Thru, presented by Triple F Training.
Welcome into the Walk-Thru. We are in round 3 of the high school football state championship playoffs. Paige Dower alongside Jesse Smithy, and we have so much great content coming up tonight. Starting, we'll have Alcoa's Eli Graff and Eli Owens, and then we have Greenville's head coach and Eddie Spradlin. Of course, all of this is made possible by Triple F, which we see a ton of activity behind us. Volleyball is in full swing, and it's just always great to be here.
Yeah, the weight room area is going crazy over there. A lot of clinging and clanging with the weights, people getting ready for their respective seasons, or maybe just keeping their activity level up during the season. As you mentioned, volleyball is taking the court back there. They'll have the Monday night kind of devotion and pizza gatherings. So it's still festive in here. The inflatable Santa's still up there in the corner somewhere. It's getting a lot of love on social media these days, on Triple F's social media account. So thankful to be here. They've been an unbelievable partner. My son is starting to get involved with some of their activities with basketball, and he's excited about that. So a lot to do out here at Triple F every single day. So again, if you're a parent in the area who's got an athlete, make sure you're coming out here, checking them out. And it's Paige, as I give some more selling points to Triple F, I was thinking about this the other day. If you're in need of a doctor, you're not going to go to a guy, right, that just watched some YouTube videos, right? Correct.
I hope not.
You want somebody who's trained and they're professional.
Yes.
And so many times I see athletes in this area going to guys because they have a space, or they have some turf, and they watched a few YouTube videos on how to train athletes, or maybe they were an athlete themselves. These guys are not only athletes themselves or former professional athletes, but they're also trained and educated in how to tailor workout plans to different kind of physiques and just body chemistry. So go to somebody who's definitely going to work with your kids and do things the right way out here at Triple F.
Absolutely. It's also the perfect setting to look back at round 2, because there was some chaos in week 2. Some good, some not so good. But of course, we're going to talk about Sevier County absolutely shocking Powell. We thought this was going to be a good game. I mean, Sevier County came in there undefeated and really just kind of handled Powell all night long.
With 3 or 4 minutes left in that game, Paige, I looked on TSSAA's website. They already had Powell in the state quarterfinal. No. It was 24-10. Powell was in complete control of that football game. Sevier County has a methodical drive. They go down and score. It's 24-17. And at that point, you're still thinking, Powell's got this football game, because defensively, they'd really controlled the last 2.5 quarters or so. But then Sevier County gets the onside kick, and then the alarm bells start going off, and you're going, okay, we could have something.
Off of the bracket.
We could have something here. And then they go deep. Soon after getting the onside kick, they score. They elect to go for 2. They get that. Now they're up 1. Well, guess what? Powell returns the kickoff to the 50. They have an all-state kicker who's going up for Mr. Football and Mr. Football kicker. He's kicked a 53-yarder this year, so they don't need many yards to give him an opportunity. They get those few yards to get in the field goal range, but they still keep throwing passes. And then they throw an out pass, and he gets intercepted, and he never gets a chance to kick that potential game-winning field goal. Sevier County's undefeated season stays intact. They move on to play West. It's just one of the wilder finishes that I can remember in the second round of a playoff game.
Yeah, thrilling for Sevier County, heartbreaking for Powell, all in that one play, just how it kind of just came apart there.
Yeah, just crushing for Powell fans, and elation on the field afterwards for Sevier County, and rightfully so.
Yeah. How about Oak Ridge and McMinn? Oak Ridge is a team you and I have talked about so many times on this show, and how they, started a little rocky to begin the year, and this kind of have been ascending the whole time. Now, Derek Rain gets another win over McMinn's head coach to be 2-1 in this new rivalry between these two head coaches, and they're on to the quarterfinals.
I think they clipped our show last week and used that as motivation, because one of the things that I said in that matchup with McMinn County was the program growing in the right direction. They'd won 5 out of the last 6 games, had dominated in those 5 wins, whereas Oak Ridge was struggling to score 7 or 10 points.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, Oak Ridge goes in. They get up like 24-0 in that game. And so then McMinn County, good football team. They do put on a rally, come back, but they lose 27-20. And Oak Ridge is still alive in this thing.
They
and
are.
oh well, we might see the return of Will Presley.
Yeah, that's
The wide
possibility,
receiver
yes.
we had out here earlier in the season, he was out with that collarbone injury for a long time. Well, he's had some time to get that healthy again. But collarbone injuries are really tricky. If you come back too soon, they will break again, and then your whole recovery process starts over again. So we'll see how they play that. We'll talk about that game probably a little bit more in the show, but we're at that point where we're kind of questioning, will Presley play? If he does, that's a huge, huge weapon to have back for Oak Ridge.
Totally changes the makeup, not only of the offense, but how that game could pan out. How about Maryville, Science Hill? You look to a year ago in the second round at Science Hill, who's getting the win. Well, Maryville, we know, is on this revenge tour, and that's exactly what they get again here in the second round.
Yeah, this game was close in the regular season.
Yes,
we
it
talked
was.
about last week, and Price Davis didn't play much in the first round, but that senior running back at Maryville High School came back in the second round and put up a lot of numbers. And Will Jones, the quarterback, played extremely well. The Maryville defense played extremely well, and they absolutely routed Science Hill. So if you're Derek Hunt, the head football coach at Maryville High School, you're really encouraged about what you just saw out of your Maryville football team going into round 3. They got Bearden this week. We'll talk about that game later in the show, but that was a dominant Maryville performance in round 2.
Well, speaking of Bearden, we'll talk about them next because they got a really nice, sizable win over Dobbins Bennett, who just had a really nice win over Farragut in the round previous. They won 26-7.
And we said last week that if Bearden plays anywhere close to what they did in round 1, that'll be an automatic win. They went up there. Jason Thompson, the running back, had over 115 yards rushing. DJ Hunter at quarterback didn't have his best day throwing percentage-wise. Had some drops from some receivers, I'm told, but threw the ball accurately, and they took care of business. So I suspect we'll see a much different game out of Bearden against Maryville this next time around.
Yeah, what we know is that they've got a defense that can handle it because Dobbins Bennett had 42 points on offense a week ago, just 7 in this game.
Absolutely.
They'll need that defense against Maryville, no doubt. And then how about Gibbs and Greenville? I know if you look at the box score and it's like, okay, Gibbs never had a chance. But interesting, when I was looking at Greenville's season stats, they allow about 7 points a game. Gibbs is just the third team this season to score more than 7 points if you want a moral victory. Alcoa was the other, and then it was like Sullivan East had like 13 or 7 points. So moral victory there, but Greenville just kind of ran away with this one.
It took a little time for Greenville to get going, and that was because of Gibbs. Gibbs is going on the road, and they took an early lead in that game, actually, and so had some early momentum. That's exactly the kind of start you want when you're on the road in a meaningful playoff game if you're Gibbs High School. But we talked about the star power that Greenville had, and that would be the X factor in that game. That's exactly what happened. Carson Quillen, their running back, ran for over 300 yards in that football game, and just kind of finally took over there. So we'll see more out of Gibbs in 4A in the coming years. Again, they continue to improve and better their program. They'll be around for a while. Yeah,
we got great games coming up as we continue the show. We'll also hear from the West head football coach and Lamar Brown. But before we get to that, let's look at Anderson County and that nice win over Elizabethton. We'll be right back.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Eli, it's that time of year again for Alcoa football time. You get to the third round. Do you feel like the sense of urgency or fight even intensify in that third round because you're getting so close to the state championship round?
Oh, 100%. You know, everything starts getting to the parts that matter. You know, like it's finally to the point where you preach all the little things. You really got to start diving in. Mm-hmm. And you know, for us, it's nothing really intensifies because you know how Coach Nix is, mm-hmm. but our mindsets, you know, they change. You know, we finally understand that if we want to make this a reality, it's up to us, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop us.
As you mentioned, the level always kind of stays up and the goals are always the same, but how much more so do you feel a need or a want to win a state championship now that it's a senior and it's kind of the last hurrah?
I mean, of course. I feel like that's, you know, a question you could ask any senior every year, and they're always going to give you the same answer. You know, you never want to be the senior class to lose a state championship. But, you know, with that being said, we don't ever talk about a state championship. You know, you show up to practice, you know, you'll never hear Coach Nix talk about getting that 10th state championship or working on our dynasty or whatever, because the only thing that matters is what we do on that day.
Do you feel sentimental at all as the last few rounds, or do you allow yourself to go to that part mentally yet?
I mean, Of course I'm going to, you know, as everybody will when they stop playing, you know, when they finally realize that it's coming to an end soon. But, you know, I've also got to understand that I can't be sentimental if I want to win a championship. Mm-hmm. And I think that the senior class this year, you know, we really embody, you know, want, you know, a will, and we're not going to go outside.
All right, Eli, just going into the postseason this time as a senior, what's that been like for you, just feelings-wise, mentality-wise?
I'd say it's a little different just because knowing it's the last one and knowing that it's the last time this Coach Nick has told us he's coaching for the seniors at this point in the year, knowing that we have 15 days left together if that works out with practice and games and stuff. And he just is making sure that everything he has is towards us. And it's just crazy because this is the last time this team will ever be together. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about.
We honored you and Eli Owens here at the Knoxville Quarterback Club today. And how long have y'all known each other, played together, played football together? Just what's that kind of friendship been like?
I think it was kind of a good coincidence. We both moved here in 6th grade at the exact same time. And we immediately started playing football together. I remember we had like spring practice or something. And I remember seeing him in the locker room and stuff. And just since then, we've played football, basketball, baseball, travel baseball stuff together all the time. So it's just been great to have a guy like that in my corner with me.
When I watch y'all play, you're always on the same side of the field, but in practice, have you ever had to tackle that guy before?
I haven't. I don't think I have, because most of the time we're like on the if we're doing offense, we're both on offense. If we're doing defense, we're both on defense. So I'm glad I haven't had to do that. So that's something definitely that I'm glad I haven't had to do.
Yeah. You know, last year was kind of different for you. I know you kind of took over quarterback midway through the season. For you to be able to kind of hold the reins of the offense the entire season, what's that been like?
It's been a good experience. I mean, I think having that experience last year to come in has propelled me with momentum into this year. And I think it's just been great to have a full year, almost full year now, under center. So it's just been great to have that experience.
Welcome back into the Walk-Thru Page Hour, Jesse Smithy. It's always great to hear from that duo. They played so long together, and you obviously see that connection every Friday night. And of course, the same goal, they want to go back, repeat state champions. Of course, they've got GP coming up, but always a great opportunity to hear from them.
Yeah, and for me, I got to see Eli Owens and Eli Graff as middle schoolers.
Yeah,
We'd heard about this Alcoa middle school team, and so one Thursday night when they were playing against Bearden for a middle school championship, went out and watched them, and Eli Owens was this 6'1", 220-pound running back running over middle school kids, and he played defensive end. It's like, okay, well, that guy is going to be a player when he gets to high school. And Eli Graff was this small little quarterback who played so fast and so tenaciously, and then he played on defense as well. And I was like, okay, well, he's kind of little right now. He's going to have to grow. but both of those players have made instant impacts at Alcoa High School. They've won 3 consecutive state championships in football. They've won back-to-back state championships in basketball. Eli Owens has been a reserve goalkeeper on the soccer team. I think Eli Graff has been track team. I mean, they've given their all literally to Alcoa High School, and so they want to end their senior seasons in football with another championship. That would be the 10th consecutive state championship for Alcoa, so we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, definitely want to be the class to continue that streak, no doubt. Well, also this week, there's so much going on, not only in this show, but this week also. I know last week we talked about the semifinalists for Mr. Football being announced. Of course, this week it's the Mr. Football finalists. Who are you hoping we see or that deserves a spot on there?
Yeah, so what happens is we like you talked about the semifinalists that were announced earlier on, and then this next round will be the finalists. So they trim it from 5 to 3, but there's no other round of voting that's happened.
Yeah.
So there's one round of voting that ends at the end of the regular season. So we already, not we, the TWSAA already knows the semifinalists. They know the winners. We're just getting that next iteration of it and the guys that will be invited to Nissan Stadium. The Mr. Football Awards will be December 10th in Nashville at Nissan Stadium. But we'll get the Mr. Football finalists actually next week on Tuesday, November 26th. So that'll be Thanksgiving week, I think.
It should be, yes.
Yeah, so that's something to kind of keep an eye out for as we set the scene really for a unbelievable busy time of year coming up with football championships and everything, basketball stuff to come. But this week, though, the alert is no Thursday night game.
Yes.
So there will not be a Thursday night game. I think there had been some talks maybe at Coalfield Oliver Springs being that Thursday night game. So we will not have that this week. Everybody will be playing on Friday night, so keep an eye out for that.
Another thing to keep an eye out for as we look ahead past the quarterfinals is also the state championship dates have been released as well, and kind of what we can expect with those teams.
Right. So Division II games, as always, will be on Thursday. That'll be Thursday, December 5th down in Chattanooga. We don't have really any Division II teams left now that Grace Christian lost last week against defending state champion CPA. But Friday, December 6th, they'll do the 3A game first.
Yes.
And then the 1A game, and then the 5A game.
Yep.
And then Saturday, December 7th, they'll do 4A, then 2A, then 6A. So, I mean, looking at that Friday schedule, we could have Alcoa there in 3A. We could have Coalfield or Oliver Springs. And we'll have a West or a Sevier County, possibly.
Hopefully,
Oak Ridge, maybe, in that 5A game. So, should have a busy day on that Friday. And then, of course, Saturday, Greenville-Anderson County. I think the winner of that Greenville-Anderson County game will play for a state championship, just kind of looking ahead to the semifinals. 2A, we don't really have anybody there. And, of course, 6A, for us, it's either going to be Maryville or Bearden going on to the semifinals to play likely an Oakland team that's really, really good.
Yeah, so it's crazy that that's in December, and, like, we're almost right there in December, because also in December we have a couple of 5-star preps basketball tournaments coming up as well, starting with the Battle of the Ville. Yeah, the Battle of the Ville is a new kind of venture for us. It's a 2-day event. It's not really a tournament style, but we take 4 of the Knox County powers in boys basketball, Fulton, West, Austin East, Bearden, kind of pit them against one another, 2 games per day. And so that'll be December 13th at Fulton. Yep. And then December 14th at Bearden. And so we've got that schedule up on our social media. We'll continue to put that out. And then the very next week, they're not giving me a break whatsoever. Putting all these days together.
After football, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. We're like, hey, Jesse, we got some tournaments coming up. Yeah, so it's December 13th and 14th is the Battle of the Ville. And then December 19th through the 21st is our Hammers Hardware Classic. I have to look at my thing just so I make sure I say that right. But it's a 3-day tournament style event. We got 6 brackets. 3 of them are for boys basketball. 3 of them for girls. We got host sites at Alcoa, Anderson County, and Webb. That first day, we'll kind of satellite out the games to a lot of area gyms, and then they'll convene at those 3 locations to play all the semifinals and state championship games. So it's a big event. We're going to have all of our brackets released on social media with dates and times and places for everybody out there who's interested. It's going to be a big time event. I'm super excited about it. This event has grown over the last few years that we've done it. More and more people are coming into the area to watch or to play. And so make sure you're checking out the Hammers Hardware Classic. Again, December 19th through the 21st. Kids are starting to get out of school around that time, so you got time on your hands. Come out and watch some basketball.
I know you're really passionate about basketball. Cam, your son, plays basketball. What excites you most about being able to have these classics or tournaments?
For us, it's an opportunity to really get to see the talent early on in the season. And then you kind of juxtapose that against what they look like in February and March. You go, man, they've gotten so much better. This kid has gotten so much more confident. And every year, Paige, I mean, we're bringing home state championships. Fulton won it last year. Alcoa won it last year. Both of those programs are in these events. So these are big time programs, winning state championships, sending kids off to college, having kids win Mr. Basketball, and for the girls, winning Miss Basketball or winning state championships or getting to the state tournaments. So this is East Tennessee gets slept on in terms of basketball prowess. It's always talked about Memphis or the private schools in Nashville, but if you really take a look at it over the last 15 to 20 years, East Tennessee's done extremely well in state championships and Mr. and Miss Basketball.
Well, I love that. A lot to get excited for, and we certainly can't wait. All of that happening after, of course, the state football championships are all set for. Well, coming up in our next segment, we'll hear from Greenville's head coach and Eddie Spradlin, so stay with us, and we'll have that right when we come back.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
All right, welcome back to the Walk-Thru presented by Triple F. Now joined by Greenville football coach Eddie Spradlin. And Eddie, thanks for joining us on the show. And before we get into the game, a big game coming up against Anderson County, obviously in the 4A quarterfinals. But I want to talk to you about earlier in the season. Tragedy kind of struck the East Tennessee community with floodwaters from the hurricanes. And I know a lot of people reached out and helped. But where do we stand right now with just life up there trying to return to normalcy?
First off, thanks for having me on here, and anytime I can talk about this program, I appreciate the opportunity. But like you said, total devastation around this area. In Greenville City, not as much as out in the county, but we got a lot of families and kids associated with this program that live in that. Me personally, I still live I live out in the county, so the biggest issue that we're still currently dealing with is the bridges. There's bridges that are out, so it's for me, it's a lot longer to get to school than normal. But there's a lot of work that's still going on by a lot of people, a lot of cleanup. You can't imagine. You just drive anywhere along the river, the number of trees that are still down and number of people that are still working to, try to get stuff back. And you'll drive that, the way I have to come to school now, you drive and there's homes that are destroyed. There's farm equipment that's still sitting, on the side of the river. It's just, you can't really imagine it until you go and see it in person. Mm-hmm. And our area was hit hard, but a lot of other areas in East Tennessee really hit hard and are still dealing with a lot of the aftermaths of the storm.
Sure. There were a number of programs that either help feed your players or open their doors for you to come practice or what have you. When did you guys were able to return to your facilities and start kind of trying to find some normalcy again?
When the games got postponed, Spencer Riley at Jeff County, he reached out to me and was like, anything I can do to help out, just please let me know. So, we didn't have any running water in the whole, in the whole county. Had all the water was completely off. So, the school system said, we're probably not going to be able to practice there. We're going to have to come up with a plan. I said, well, Jefferson County's reached out and wants to let us practice down there. So we moved all our everything. We come here in the morning, get on a bus and ride down there. They fed us. They took care of all the food for us, gave us opportunity, no running water in any house in Greene County. So our kids were able to shower and do things that they wouldn't be able to do here. So and some of our other sports teams went to Science Hill and Dobbins Bennett was able to host some of our teams. So a lot of different schools reached out and were able to let us use their facilities during this time. Anderson County brought a truckload of water up to us. Gary Terry always does a great job with reaching out and doing things if anybody needs help. And as soon as it happened, he reached out to us and said, we're going to get y'all some water. They brought up a truckload of it. Hats off to everybody that helped out. But that whole week we couldn't practice. Then they let us do some stuff here but we couldn't, they got the water back on, and once we could use the restrooms, the water in the city was on. That next week we were able to practice, but we didn't have any running water at the same time for a lot of houses. If you wasn't living in the city, you still didn't have running water. So think about all the water that you use in practice that you don't think about. So we had to replace that with bottled water, how we're doing a lot of stuff. But it's about 2 weeks after the storm, we were kind of back to a little normalcy. We faced a ton of adversity this year, but hopefully at the end of the day, these kids are going to be stronger for it. And one day they face stuff when they get out of here, they're able to know how to deal with tough situations.
Let's get into your football players per se, and I've got to start with Carson Quillen, a guy that has contributed in so many ways for your football team, for the school as a baseball standout as well. That young man's wired differently. When I talk to him, I feel like I'm talking to an elder, and I'm probably 30 years older than him almost. And he's just a different type of athlete who's kind of mature beyond his years. How have you seen him even mature and progress and get to the point where I think he ran for 300 some odd yards last week, but just to be a leader of this football program?
He's our team captains are selected by our players, and obviously coaches can make a cut if we need to. But as a junior, there's not many juniors that selected. I feel like he probably could have been a team captain as a sophomore if we wanted him to be. But he was selected last year as a team captain, and it goes just like you said. He's a wired different. I remember Coach Ball, who's our offensive coordinator, is the head baseball coach for our middle school, and he remember in 8th grade. Carson, he said, man, he's different. He shows up to practice. There's no messing around. He's ready to go. He's got a shirt tucked in. He's got a belt on. He's got his pants on. He's ready to go every day when he shows up, and there's no nonsense anytime he's at practice. And that's what he's been since he's been here, what he is when he's with the baseball team, with the high school, just how he's been raised. He's had a older brother who was a great football player for us as well, but 2 high character kids. He continues to get better as the bigger game, the more you're going to get out of him. And it comes back to his character, we talk about what he's made of. You're not going to see him doing a lot of normal high school things you see from kids. He's not much. There's no nonsense with him. He's dialed in at all the time, and as a result, you see it on Friday night.
I didn't know how athletically or gifted or fast Caden Ball was until I watched you guys play against Alcoa, and his ability to run the football and how quick he got out of the backfield, past the line of scrimmage, and into some space. That's probably innate. I mean, something you can't teach, but how has he grown in other areas as a quarterback for you guys?
First off with Caden, it goes to how hard he wants to work in the weight room, and how hard he's worked. Our program does a great job training speed during the season, during the off season, and he's really bought into that. And he's continued. The stronger those kids are, and they really put that work in, they got an opportunity to really run good. And he's really improved his running skills from last year. And one thing that he's improved on that's made him successful, I think, is working on those leadership things. And we've talked a lot of times. You're going to be a leader you're going to be the quarterback on this football team. You better be a leader. And he's really dialed in. We talked about it earlier in the year. Make sure you're the first one at everything. We practice on Thursday mornings at 6:30. Make sure you're here one of the first guys. I'm going to be here at 5:45. You need to be here at 6 o'clock, and talking to those guys. And he's done a great job at that side of it, and he's really bought into the work side of it on the field. And as a result, you've seen the success he's had, and he's really improved his passing game for us. What Carson does helps open up that stuff. But Caden's done a good job running the football, being smart with it, and getting the ball to those playmakers and letting them make plays.
You talk about playmakers. In the 2023 Jamboree that we put on at Carson Newman, you guys threw a deep bomb to Zayden Anderson, and it was kind of an eye-opening moment for us in the media to see what could be out of this young man, a track star. Maybe didn't statistically have the numbers that we thought he might have in 2023, but this year he's just really kind of broken through and become that player that we all expected. And just for people who are going to see him for the first time this Friday night against Anderson County, what are they going to see in wide receiver Zayden Anderson?
He's got, like you said, he's got big time speed. When he touches a football, something electric can happen. And what goes unnoticed with him that is not mentioned is how hard he plays. He plays every down on defense for us at corner. How hard he blocks out there on the edge when he's not getting the football. He's playing with a lot of excitement right now. He's a special player to watch. He's only touched the football, I think, 25 times on the year. Probably be nice. He's up to about 800 yards receiving, but bigger games we try to get the ball to him more, and as a result, he's made more big plays. He's got to have a big game for us on Friday night.
Speaking of that game, going against Anderson County team that you all have faced as a program many times over the last 6 or 7 years. When you look at this iteration of Anderson County, what jumps off the film at you when you watch them play?
I looked at it. I was talking to my football team yesterday. I think in the last 9 years, we've played 8 times.
Wow.
2 of them were regular season games there in 15 and 16. And besides that, it's been a second or third round game. And you turn on the film, and like you see in the same teams playing each other each year. Big physical teams just getting after each other. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out dogfight with 2 really good football teams. A lot of people say, it's been when these 2 teams played. Obviously, it's not been the state championship, but it's a state championship type game. That's what you're going to get on Friday. You got 2 really talented football teams that's got really good running backs, 2 Mr. Football semifinalists, and then you got skill kids galore, and you got really good offensive, defensive line. So expect a big-time game on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us on the Walk-Thru tonight, and best of luck to you guys on Friday night.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us. Go Devils.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Are you ready to take your career to new heights? Join the Tennessee Air National Guard and be part of an elite team safeguarding our skies, responding to crises at home, and supporting missions worldwide. Wherever you are in life, the Tennessee Air National Guard offers unparalleled opportunities, top-notch training, and amazing benefits. Scan the QR code or visit goang.com to learn more. Serve your way with the Tennessee Air National Guard. The sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
It's always great to hear from head coach Lamar Brown. I know last week when we were talking about the post game that I did with Antoine Burdine, he's like, our message to Halls is that we're coming. And that's exactly what happened. And you can kind of see that the team embraced that when he had a chance to talk to Lamar Brown.
Yeah, and it's Lamar Brown just kind of, he shoots you straight, but he also is not going to give you too much either. We asked him kind of about what they would face in round 3, and he played his cards right and said what coaches are supposed to say. But just one of the best coaches in the area. If my son played football, I'd love for him to play for Lamar Brown. Just salt of the earth type of man. And but underneath that kind of casual, kind of mild conversation is a fiery football coach who loves to win. And man, he had his guys locked in Friday night.
Yeah, honestly, covering the team this season, I have only seen him lose maybe his temper one time, and he made a point to talk about that in postgame because I'm like, he is so even-keeled. Sometimes you don't always see all of those emotions come from him. We have flag football coming up at the end of the show, but of course, I want to get to our Waffle House win-loss projection. The stakes are a lot higher because if you don't pick the team to win, you're essentially telling them that they're going home. Their season's over. You know.
We already heard from some people last week. I got the message wrong on or the pick wrong on, and they let me know on social media or vice versa. So it was it's fun. You can feel that passion, that intensity. They don't like being told that they can't win or that I don't think they can win or whatever. So they like for me to pick against them, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's good bulletin material. You can't blame them. Helps keep you honest as well. So Sevier County and West. This is going to be such a good game, despite what the all-time record will say. It's 13-3, in one favor, not the other. But this is a real chance for West to go and prove themselves against an undefeated Sevier County team that had a really good, kind of last-minute win against Powell that we talked about earlier in the show.
Right, and you have a quarterback in Cooper Newman who is growing in confidence by the month. I mean, he's a sophomore. He entered that game against Powell with 34 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He finally threw an interception in that game, but you know what? It didn't faze him. He came back and led, game-winning touchdown drives. So that shows you he's not your typical sophomore. And when you hear him speak, you know he's not a typical sophomore. One of the things we also saw out of Sevier County was the return of Tegan Avera. He only ran about 4 or 5 times in that game, but maybe that's just kind of, okay, we're getting you reacclimated to playing football again. I expect him to run the football a little bit more. Now, can he make an impact against a really good defense from West High School? I don't know that answer, but he gives them yet another weapon to utilize in the pass game, out of the backfield for runs. So we're not going to get 100% Tegan Avera, I don't think, but Sevier County, I don't know if they faced a secondary like West. And I said that against Powell, and for a while I was right, and then they finally hit on some big plays late. But I think West secondary is a little bit better than Powell's. And we've talked about Antoine Burdine ad nauseum on this show, but there's other great players back there on the back end of that defense. And what I've seen out of West the last few weeks, they have that mentality again. They have that fire, that passion to get back to the state championship game. I'm going to take West to win this football game.
Interesting. I love that. I was also wondering in this game, because this is probably Sevier County's best defense that maybe they've had ever. They've only given up 106 points. Yeah. But you even go to the days where they were in the finals, when they've had 12 wins on the season. They have been in the finals or a state champion. Yeah. So this is a very interesting game. But you mentioned it. I do think it really will be a game of the defenses.
Yeah, and for Sevier County, one of their best players, Joey Gall, is in number 47. He was kind of limping off the field, on and off the field in that game last week against Powell. If he's not able to go, that's a huge loss for that defense. I suspect he'll try to play, though. Our
next one is Gatlinburg Pittman and Alcoa. It's all in Alcoa's favor in this one. They've had 5 meetings now in the quarterfinals. Last time it was Gatlinburg Pittman at home, and they couldn't really get it done. Now they're going all the way on the road to Alcoa, and that road aspect is tough enough, but I'm thinking the way that Alcoa has played, it'll be them.
For sure. And again, hearing how locked in Eli Owens, Eli Graff are, that lets you know that Alcoa wants to finish this thing off the right way. So obviously I'm going to pick Alcoa. They're 9-time defending state champions. But I want to give a shout out to Gatlinburg Pittman. They've had a tragedy happen off the field. They've had quarterback injuries. They've had running back injuries. A lot of adversity thrown their way, and for them to get to the 3rd round of the 3A playoffs, I mean, tip of the cap to those guys, the coaching staff, the players, the community. We're all kind of galvanizing their efforts here late in the season and making a run. And I know they won't be sad to see Alcoa go to 4A next year. They've had a lot of roadblocks with Alcoa, and so who knows, maybe in 2025 with Braden Maples and crew coming back, maybe they make a run at a state title. We'll see.
Yeah, and I just think the way Gatlinburg Pittman has come together is a testament to their head coach. Not only is it his first year as head coach, but he's been with the team for so many. So Oak Ridge, it's a 4-0 record all time, but the last time these two teams met was 1949. Yeah. So I don't think you can really consider the all time. This is kind of a brand new season, brand new matchup.
Yeah, so Oak Ridge is one of those teams that it's been hard to read this year. I mean, they've had so many key injuries. and with key players here and there. And again, if they get Will Presley back for this round, that's a huge feather in the cap for Derek Rang, the head football coach at Oak Ridge, to be able to take on the road with him down to East Hamilton. So it's a game of momentum in the playoffs. Sometimes Oak Ridge has momentum. They have belief. They have confidence again, coming off of that win last week over McMinn County. We've talked about this second quadrant of the 5A bracket and how it's winnable for anybody.
Yeah.
And right now, Oak Ridge is kind of that team where you're pinpointing and going, okay, Sevier County or West is going to play probably Oak Ridge in the state semifinals. That'll probably be our only local game in the semifinals because everybody else is going to have to travel to remote parts of the state next weekend, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But I like Oak Ridge to win that football game. They're my pick.
I'll put a check mark next to Oak Ridge, bulletin material for the other team.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
The one game that we really did want to see happen is happening here in the quarterfinals in single A between Coalfield and Oliver Springs. The last 20 matchups, though, it's been in Coalfield's favor, 16-4, plus a 34-25 win earlier this season for Coalfield. I mean, what are you expecting in this game?
I know Coalfield wants me to pick Oliver Springs because they've said as much. They love to have the motivation and the people doubting them. And, of course, they won the regular season matchup last year. They lost to Oliver Springs in the playoffs last year. In the quarterfinal round, Oliver Springs went on to the state semifinals. I think both of these teams are capable of winning next week against South Pittsburgh and possibly playing for a state championship. Coalfield, as much as I like what they've done this year, I still see Jaquan Benton, 6'4" wide receiver for Oliver Springs. I still see Mason Day, running back at Oliver Springs. Liam Bokey at quarterback. They were missing a key component of their defense in that regular season matchup this time. He should be back this matchup. I think they're going to keep it together a little bit more mentally. They kind of got flustered in that first half against Coalfield in the regular season. So I'm taking Oliver Springs in this football game. And I guess Coalfield's happy. I picked against them. We'll see what they do with that motivation.
We shall see how that goes. Our next one is Maryville and Bearden. We talked about them at the beginning of the show, but I know this has got to be such a massive get-back kind of game for Bearden after that 62-28 loss earlier in the year. Maryville's only scored more than 50 points like one other time this season.
They usually don't run up the score on people.
No.
But what happened in that game, if you remember, DJ Hunter, the sophomore quarterback at Bearden, he was just coming back from injury. That was his first game back. And so there were snap issues. Just everything went wrong in the first 8 or 9 minutes of that football game. And you look up on the scoreboard, and it's Maryville's up 21-0. And so it just kind of zapped all the energy out of that big-time 6A matchup in league play. Bearden's different, though, now. DJ Hunter, I think, is healthy. He's confident. He's throwing the football down the field vertically at a high percentage rate.
Okay.
And that's sometimes when you can beat Maryville, on the back end of the defense. So they've kind of shored things up with their secondary at Maryville. But still, I mean, if you're going to big play Maryville, that's where you got to do it. But they also have Jason Thompson healthy again at Bearden as well. He looks hungry. He hadn't had the production year that he had a year ago when he was one of our all 5-star preps underclassmen of the year, but he's starting to make up for it here on the back end of the season, multiple 100-yard games in a row. I still like Maryville to win this football game. Maryville just historically wins in this round. They go on to play in Oakland in the state semifinal round. Bearden's going to make it more difficult on them this time around. But the game being at Maryville, with Price Davis being fully healthy, Will Jones at quarterback being confident, I like Maryville to win a tight one.
All right, our last Waffle House win-loss projection. It'll be a good one because between these two teams in Greenville and AC, offensively they couldn't be more similar. Defensively they couldn't be more similar. And I don't know if this is going to be a high-scoring game, a low-scoring game, because AC gives up about 15 points a game. Greenville only gives up 7. I'm really intrigued with what version we get.
Yeah, this is a total coin flip game.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the backfield, and Carson Quillen and Waylon LaRue, they're both about 5'8", 5'9", and run 4.5s or 4.4s. You got wide receiver in Trent Strickland. At Anderson County, you got Zayden Anderson, wide receiver. At Greenville, you got good quarterback play. Both teams love to get after it defensively. Both sound in the kicking game, so you go, okay, well, who do you pick here?
Yeah.
When I kind of shrug my shoulders, I have to do a coin flip. Oftentimes, I kind of lean towards the home team, and for that reason, I'll take Anderson County in this game. And but man, this is going to be the game to go to. These two teams have faced off so many times in the playoffs and given us so many great memories over the last 6 or 7 football seasons, and this is just going to be another great chapter in this rivalry. And but it was a cool moment earlier in the season when Greenville was dealing with flooding and not having supplies, and Anderson County loaded up that big tractor truck or whatever that thing's called and loaded it with supplies and waters and delivered it up there to show you that it's more than football sometimes. And even though they're rivals on the football field and they faced off so many times in the playoffs and heartbreaking losses for one or the other, they can still go beyond the field and help each other as people and communities. And so whatever happens in this game Friday night, that's what I'll remember about Greenville and AC this year.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great note to end it on. We saw just Lee Smith go in to help the group with Bible study. We had volleyball behind us. It is always such an action-packed time here at Triple F. But as we leave you, if you missed anything in the show, of course, go to 5starpreps.com, specifically for those December basketball classics and events for the breakdown in those brackets, date, times, and locations. So much going on for Jesse Smithy. He needs a coffee again. Maybe you'll go to Waffle House after this. We shall see. But we have some more high school girls flag football coming up for you as well, so enjoy that, and we will see you back here for the semifinal round of the high school football state championship playoffs.
Welcome to the Walk-Thru with 5-Star Preps, the ultimate weekly live show that dives deep into the heart of high school football right here in East Tennessee. Powered by Triple F Training. Train like a pro. Each week, Jesse Smithy and the 5-Star Prep team takes you beyond the gridiron and into the stories that define Fall Friday nights in the hills of the Great Smoky Mountains. From the thrilling touchdowns to the hard-hitting tackles and the unsung heroes who make every game unforgettable, we've got it all covered. Join Jesse Smithy as he breaks down this week's biggest games, highlights the standout performances, and gives you the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. Now, catch us live on The Walk-Thru, presented by Triple F Training.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.